Times says the project aims to reframe American history.
It is an examination of the United States' origin story, a corrective history. It is designed to kickstart conversations, thus that hashtag I just mentioned, 1619 Project Brunch.
Now to some major news out of the NFL. A source telling ESPN that Washington's NFL team retiring its controversial nickname.
The Aunt Jemima brand is getting erased. The name and logo are being dropped from all products, including the iconic pancake mix and maple syrup. Within hours of the Aunt Jemima announcement came word that Uncle Ben's Rice would get a new brand identity too.
New tonight, the Phoenix City Council voted to change the name of streets that they find offensive.
Barnes & Noble is facing backlash over its diverse editions of classic novels. Some to mention, like Peter Pan, The Secret Garden, are being displayed with new covers. The characters on the books are being reimagined as different ethnicities. This announcement
Twitter dropping the programming terms master, slave, and blacklist from its code. Master and slave are going to become leader and follower, while blacklist will become deny list.
Watch this.
I have never discriminated on the basis of sexual preference.
Your sexual preference is an offensive and outdated term.
So Merriam-Webster, the dictionary, here's the old definition versus the new definition of sexual preference. Before it said orientation, sense, sexual preference. And now, after that exchange between the two of them on Tuesday, now it says offensive, sense, sexual preference. What's your response?
That is a child attacking her mother and father for the crime of insufficient loyalty to Black Lives Matter. Here's a 15-year-old from Louisiana called Isabella. There are many like her in America right now.
I literally hate my family so much. It's just, they just try to argue with me that George Floyd doesn't, like, they're just trying to tell me that, like, he deserved that because he did something wrong, and that it was okay. That is not okay. And it's just making me so upset. I don't know why. I do not want to live here. I hate living in Louisiana. I hate living around these racists. I just want to leave.
Think Trump is worse than Hitler?
Yes.
Yeah,
Could
definitely.
Why do you say that?
He's childish.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
He's trying to stop, like food stamps. People need those.
Do you think that ending food stamps is as bad as killing like 6 million Jews?
He did that?
Yeah. He killed Jews. He's trying to just destroy the planet.
And build that wall, yeah.
They did a Harvard study and actually a judicial system study as well, and they found that there was no racial bias when it came to police shootings last year. When you guys hear that, what does that make you think?
Cap. Cap.
They did a study that showed that cops are actually 18 times more likely to be killed than an unarmed black man is to be killed by the police.
Cap.
that is
Let's do it. Do you think the gender wage gap is real?
I do.
How do you stop the gender wage gap?
That's a great question. I think we have to take a look at our government and our understanding of capitalism and consumerism and kind of start working there and work backwards.
If you had like a business, you know what I mean, and they could pay women 77 cents for every dollar that a man would make, that would be like capitalism. So they would hire all women.
I suppose in a sense I'm following what you're saying, but
you can protest all you want, but the I just saw take place. human beings that live in this neighborhood. You do this in Harlem, you do this in Brooklyn, and I swear on everything. These people in this neighborhood deserve better. And I'm not talking about the gentrification. I'm not talking about students who come here and pay cash to go to NYU. I am talking about the people who go to a methadone clinic down the street. And you think this is a protest?
But in today's culture, just a simple social media post from years ago can prevent you from getting a job. Is that fair?
Tonight, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne goes 360 on the rise of what's being referred to as cancel culture.
You may have never heard the term cancel culture.
It's somewhat of a boycott of a person who has done something that other people find objectionable.
It can also be someone just like you and me.
Putting something out there that can probably offend somebody.
So I often caution people, especially young people, students, about what they place on social media because that is their professional image and picture forever.
Cancel culture is a form of boycott or public shaming of a person who has shared a questionable or unpopular opinion.
Power is not a means, it is an end. In our world, there will only be triumph and self-abasement. Everything else we shall destroy.
If there is hope, it lies in the proles. If they could become conscious of their own strength, they would have no need to conspire. History does not matter to them.
Exist. Of course. In the same way as me. You do not exist.
Under the spreading chestnut tree,
I implore you once
I
again
sold you.
to shoot me
You
while my
sold
mind
me.
is asleep.
Power is tearing human minds apart and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing.
She's beautiful.
She's a meter across the hips, easily.
It's her style of beauty.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace.
If you want a vision of the future, Winston, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever.
They can torture you and make you say anything. They can't make you believe it. They can't get inside you, made you. They can't get to your heart.
The law of gravity is nonsense.
Freedom is slavery.
No such law exists. If I think I float,
Freedom is slavery.
and you think I float,
War is peace.
then it happens.
Freedom is slavery.
I love you.
Is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is
But
peace.
wrap your minds around this, gentlemen.
Freedom
Oh,
is
no.
slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
Oh my God, Chicago kicks ass.
That was awesome.
War is
It's a beautiful day here at the state capitol. Great day to be a Satanist. I believe it, and I'm very excited about it.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
It's not.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery.
This is Sioux, Missouri.
If we're being
sued by the Satanic
War is peace.
we gotta be doing something right.
It's our goal to shut down their agenda, which is to bring death and destruction.
You guys are war is peace.
Is this how everyone that's different is treated?
It is out of not only Satanism,
Ignorance is
but patriotism that I am
War
motivated.
is peace.
Satanism is looking out for the other, because we are the other.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery.
I am following the code of ethics, having fellowship with brethren. Why can't that be a religion?
We do indeed invoke slavery.
There's no doubt that this is my life's work.
Hail Satan.
Hail
War
Satan.
is peace.
Hail Satan.
Freedom
Hail
is
Satan.
slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
Felipe
War is peace.
this French elected official who is in
Freedom
Paris
is
now.
slavery.
Felipe,
Ignorance is
what have you
strength.
seen and what do you know?
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery.
I will tell you something. Even if nobody died, I mean, it's like a 9/11. It's a French 9/11, you know. And it's a big shock. I mean, this church was there for more than 850 years. Even the Nazis didn't dare to destroy it. And you need to know that for the past years we had churches desecrated each and every week in France, all over France. So of course you will hear the story about the political correctness, which will tell you that it's probably an accident.
Sir, we're not going to speculate here of the cause of something which we don't know. If you have observations or you know something, we would love to hear it.
No, I'm just telling you something. What you need to be ready.
No, sir, we're not doing that here. Not now.
Okay.
Not on my watch. Felipe Carcente, it's very good of you to be here. We're watching the at least partial destruction. We're not going to speculate here of the cause of something which we don't know. If you have observations or you know something, we would love to hear it.
No, I'm just telling you something. What you need to be ready.
No, sir, we're not doing that here. Not now.
Okay.
Not on my watch.
Okay.
Felipe Carcente, it's very good of you to be here.
Friend. So, of course, you will hear the story about the political correctness, which will tell you that it's probably an accident.
Sir, we're not going to speculate here of the cause of something which we don't know. If you have observations or you know something, we would love to hear it.
No, I'm just telling you something. What you need to be ready.
No, sir, we're not doing that here. Not now.
Okay.
Not on my watch.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning. They do not go gentle into that good night. Good men the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Brave men near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance.
January 6th will go down as one of the darkest days in recent American history.
And from one of our darkest days to the core of our democracy tonight. Right now, the Senate is in session inside the Capitol building, refusing to be intimidated and promising to finish what they started, counting the votes to certify President-elect Joe Biden. Good evening. I'm Christine Johnson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. The images from earlier today almost did not seem real. They still don't. Capitol Police with guns drawn moments before those protesters stormed the chambers.
And lawmakers told to evacuate, also given gas masks to protect them from tear gas fired in the rotunda.
And a big sigh of relief for the Senate as they managed to salvage the Electoral College ballots just before the rioters broke in.
We have team coverage tonight on the crisis at the Capitol.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. War is peace.
This is Banana Republic crap. Mr. President, you have got to stop this.
But it was President Trump who addressed a crowd earlier and urged them to march to the Capitol.
You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength.
Rudy Giuliani went further.
Let's have trial by combat.
Later in a Twitter video, the president did not condemn the violence and even had praise for the protesters.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
Facebook and Twitter have now blocked the president's account. President-elect Biden called the mob attack an insurrection and seemed to blame the president.
At their best, the words of a president can inspire. At their worst, they can incite.
Republican House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy blasted the protest.
This is not who we are. This is not who his supporters are. This is the democracy that we are supposed to be the torch for the rest of the world.
The question for many tonight, how could this happen? Authorities had been warned on social media that armed protesters could be taking to the streets causing trouble, but the Capitol was poorly defended, raising serious questions about security.
How did the protesters get inside the building? Why wasn't anyone prepared for this? Where was the intelligence briefings that suggested this was possible?
The attack also left 7 people injured. CBS News reports there's been talk among cabinet members about the 25th Amendment, a process to remove the president if he's unable to do his job. But the cabinet members have not presented the idea to the vice president.
Is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
This is a moment to lead boldly and recommit ourselves to common principles which remain essential to my nation and to all liberal democracies all over the world. But the greatest threat on this front springs from the distinct illiberal and external actors who equate their success with fracturing the liberal international order. This movement is principally led by Russia. Under President Putin, Russia is working with every tool available to them to, one, whittle away at the edges of the European project, test the fault lines among Western nations, and return to a politics defined by spheres of influence. And the single greatest bulwark for our transatlantic partnership is the unshakable commitment of the United States to all of our NATO allies. It is a sacred obligation we have embraced, that an attack on one is an attack on all.
Members of the public have not been allowed in the Capitol for the last 9 or 10 months. Because of the pandemic, this has been completely shut down. Not to mention that this breach means that every single one of these protesters has not been screened. I mean, this is an unprecedented security breach in the Capitol, at least in my experience.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
That can never be placed in question.
Little by little, O'Brien shows Winston, with the use of electric shock machines, beatings, and starvation, the way of the party. He forces Winston to accept that if the party says so, 2 + 2 = 5. Broken to the core, Winston finally submits to his re-education. He is no longer beaten, is fed at regular intervals, and is allowed to sleep, though the lights never go out. Although he seems to accept the party's reality, Winston still clings to the last remaining kernel of himself and his humanity, his love for Julia. O'Brien attempts to force Winston to betray Julia. He takes Winston to room 101, containing the worst thing in the world, which is different for everyone. Winston is bound to a chair where O'Brien attaches a mask cage to his face. The contraption contains huge, hungry, and carnivorous rats. Winston feels a desperate, deep, panicked fear. He cannot take it, and finally screams for O'Brien to put someone else in his place. Anyone, even Julia. O'Brien has succeeded in brainwashing his subordinate. Winston, a damaged, changed, empty shell of a man, is released into the world. In the final pages of the novel, Winston obtains a somewhat trivial, meaningless job that pays surprisingly well. He spends his time at a cafe drinking Victory gin and playing chess in his regular seat. He stares reverently into the eyes of a man with dark hair and a big mustache. Winston cries. He has finally completed the rehabilitation he started in the Ministry of Love. He loves Big Brother.
This is the end. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.